Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown, our live post-game show after Game 3 versus the Spurs and the Thunder. Quite an interesting game, actually, when you think about it, because it seemed clear to me from the get-go in the first quarter the Spurs didn't have it. So you could talk a lot about Serge Ibaka, and let's talk about that first because I can't get over how impressive that was to be out for almost 2 weeks and hit your first 5 shots, block some shots, be active on half of one and a half legs, basically. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. So the question became on Twitter before the game, was this whole out for the playoffs thing just a ruse? And I don't think it was a ruse. I don't think they did it on purpose. I think that they probably thought he was out, but I also think that they probably said he was out for the playoffs to take the pressure off of him forcing himself to come back any earlier than he was going to. So that's probably the crux of the matter on why Ibaka, why they decided to do that. I don't think it was nefarious or anything like that. I think it was simply like, the whole thing with Derrick Rose. Was he going to come back? Was he wasn't? It was a big distraction for the Bulls 2 years ago. So I think it's a lot easier for the Thunder to simply say he's out, and then, hey, if he comes back, it's great. It's an emotional lift. Everyone gets excited. But the idea that he would play as well as he did is crazy. I have a memory of Scottie Pippen doing that. He was out with a back injury for several games and came back and just destroyed that first game back in the regular season game. But it's rare to see that kind of layoff in the playoffs against a team that has been doing so well to actually do that. And that was a huge start for them. But you also have to factor in, what happens with the Spurs. And it's a question I'd like to ask Popovich at some point if I ever get a chance to get him on camera, is that his teams go through these moments of complete sublime offense. We saw for the last 2 games. Just incredible evisceration. The ball is moving. Everyone is moving together, 5 fingers on a hand. But then, either in a game or in stretches of a game, they lose that, and it becomes very disjointed. And that's what we saw tonight, was a very disjointed performance. And part of what I felt was happening is, and this is the perils of running a read and react offense, is that you might have 2 guys running one option and 3 running the other. And next thing you know, the spacing is off, the timing is off, there's no openings, and the defense that they're playing for OKC ends up looking a lot better because of it. So I've always wanted to ask Coach Popovich, if he actually has an answer for that, or if he can figure out why, because I assume that if he knew why, they could probably call timeout and fix it. But I wonder if he has any observations as far as, what that is. Maybe after the fact, when he's looking at it, he realizes something. One thing I definitely noticed was that Tony Parker was off. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it came out. It won't come out, but if it ever came out that he was up all night with his new kid and he didn't get any sleep, because that's what he looked like. And when you watch, slalom skiers go down the court or go down the hill, and they have to ride that edge of the ski, and they're like tilted 45 degrees. He was doing that an awful lot, riding the edge of his sneakers, basically. And there were a number of times when he just lost his balance. He was off balance the whole time. And it's very hard to navigate when you're always on the edge of your shoe, literally on that edge, and you're about to slide out from it at any moment. So it was something was off with him all night long. He was just not balanced. He was out of control. And what all this big win kind of hides, by the way, was a truly awful performance by Russell Westbrook in the first half. In the third quarter, he did better, but his stats by no means were anything that were like blow you away either way. He had a big third quarter with points, but he was out of control. He got a terrible technical foul. The Spurs did miss some shots they normally would make, and I don't want to diminish the effect of Ibaka because he certainly was blocking shots down low and causing to bobble the ball even, and that was also uncharacteristic. But because Ibaka is there, that is characteristic suddenly. So you had a whole lot of things going on there, a big confluence of events, and I honestly felt like at some point in late in the second quarter, I already felt like Coach Popovich already was going to throw the towel in. He just knew there's no sense grinding and screaming and yelling because it's just not going to happen. And we've seen it with the Spurs, where when it's not happening, it's just not happening. And that doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen for this long of a game. It was almost the entire game it wasn't happening, right? Usually you'll get in those ruts where they're amazing, and then all of a sudden in the second quarter for like 8 minutes they go cold, right? And they're turning the ball over and they can't get shots. But this was a complete, game-wide, meltdown. So don't forget, if you have questions, ask them on Twitter with the hashtag #BBallShow. You can ask them on the YouTube page, and we'll get to them as well. So we'll definitely want to hear from you and hear what you're thinking, because this is a conversation. Are you guys ready for some video breakdown? Because that's always a big bread and butter. I want to make sure we tweet this out here and let everyone know where we are. So let me copy and paste this and retweet it. Let everyone know. We're about to do some serious live video analysis here, live. And you're going to see me, you're going to be watching me as I tweet something. So if you're watching Twitter, you're going to see in 1 second me typing it and then it going out. Live video analysis of Game 3. Right. And of course, the old hashtag you win. Okay. By the way, it's really cool. We see now on TNT or on NBA TV, some of the guys are using "you win." So if you hear it, I would like to think that was my influence, but you never know. Cool stuff either way, because I heard it the other day and I thought that was pretty neat. So let's go to our screen share, shall we? And I got a list of plays we should go over. This is not brought to you by Taco Bell, so this is not an official sanctioned Taco Bell show yet, but soon. You never know. All right, let me hide some of these windows here. Forgive me. Oh my goodness, I did not clean up my window very well. All right, so our first thing I want to show is in the first. Oh boy. Okay, Ibaka gets a block on splitter. So oh great. The problem with TNT is they put their thing right over where my information goes, so I can't see how much time is left. So 9:52 in the first quarter. Let's jump there. Oh my goodness, I don't have it. Okay, let's go to the next one. 7:40. Forgive me. I don't think I have 7:40 either. Okay, live TV. Huh. All right, let's jump to 5:40. All right, so here we go. This is going to be a pick and roll by the Spurs. This is let me jump back 1 second here. All right, let's go back. So we got a pick and roll with the Spurs. This looks like they're going to run their motion weak. Motion weak means when Tony Parker throws the ball. Let's see here. So okay, so Tony Parker throws the ball from the guard spot to the wing, and he's going to do a shallow cut to the weak side. This is what they call motion weak. Now they swing it. Oh my goodness. Okay. By the way, there's a good example of why the Spurs were off. Nothing about Ibaka was involved in that play. Tim Duncan simply saw a bit of a backdoor, and there was Danny Green actually cutting, and it was open. So let's watch Danny Green here. They catch Reggie Jackson watching the ball way too much. He doesn't see man and ball. So they had a nice backdoor cut here. Reggie Jackson has no idea where the ball is, but they're not on the same page. They just throw it away. Okay, so there's a good example. Why do I not see? Let me go back farther then, because okay, that's weird. I wrote 5:40, but it's not 5:40. Let's see what happens after this. Here it comes. Okay. So now Tony Parker, remember, the Spurs have a couple ways they can initiate their offense. They can either make a guard forward pass, or Tony Parker can dribble the ball all the way to the wing. So if you can see this, okay, so now Parker brings it to the wing. They're going to do a double ball screen on top, and instead, so here, oh yeah, this is what I want to make a point. OKC is terrible with their pick and roll defense, okay? Now at this point, Ibaka is out, and he is a big part of their pick and roll defense, but you can see Reggie Jackson here and how he is icing the pick and roll. He is forcing Tony Parker away from the pick. But what that means is that the guy guarding the screener has to be on a line of deployment, which is the line between the ball and the basket. And that's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is sliding up the hedge, and OKC does this all the time. And it is awful. It is a direct line layup. Watch. I think we're going to see Tony Parker get it right to the layup. Oh, I see. It forces Perkins to rotate, and then there's Duncan for the layup on a nice contest by Perkins, and then Jackson was over. But you can see that's just terrible defense. They're not on the same page, and they do. And this is not even a thing where I caught it once. This happens often in games, and no matter what happens, you give up this many layups, you're going to be in trouble. So there's the ice. You can see how he comes up high. You can see Durant is already in the wrong spot, thinking they're going to heads. They're not talking, and straight line right to the hoop. Really, really terrible, terrible defense. No excuse for that. So Let's move on to our next play, which is, okay. Now, here's an interesting thing that I caught, which was, let me get to 4:30. Okay. Oh, we got to skip the commercial. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here is going to be a loop for Russell Westbrook. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is OKC running the Spurs signature play, a play they don't normally run. I'll have to ask anybody who watches all the OKC games, let me know if you've seen them run the loop before. But the loop, if you don't know, is triggered by the guard dribbling the ball over to the wing, and you'll see here's Russell Westbrook dribbling to the wing. And then they do a zipper cut, which is a cut when the guy, and by the way, if you haven't seen our breakdown from last week of me going over the main cuts in an offense, definitely check it out. Maybe I'll get a link to that in the comments in a little bit. Or someone else wants to put the link in the comments on YouTube, go right ahead. So here we're going to have a zipper cut, which is, now by the way, you can even see this is a call out of bounds play, but they're just slow. They don't know what's happening. Russell Westbrook has to like yell it out again and get Butler to do a zipper cut, right? So that's a zipper cut from the block all the way up to the top and get the ball. Now Russ is going to get 3 screens in a row across the top here, and that's the loop. So here he runs it. Now look at this. This spacing's all weird. Fisher is not in position. Fisher would normally be over here on the weak side block, and then Perkins would be a little bit higher, or he flipped those. So they're not executing it very well. Clearly they haven't worked on this that much. So here comes Russ around, and Manu, by the way, knows it because guess what? Manu runs this play, and he's usually the guy getting the loop if it's not Parker. So he takes away that pass. Russ gets a pretty bad push off. They don't call it on that when he comes around. I would think that's a pretty easy call to make. They don't make it. Kennedy doesn't make it right in front of him too. So remember, here's the referee. Here's the push off, and it's right in his line of sight, even if he's staring at the ball. So he pushes off of there. Now what happens is they get a nice back door on this, and Perkins screws the pooch by kind of getting his dukes up on Tim Duncan, and they call the foul down here, which is also debatable. It's possible that Kennedy was late seeing the push off on Russ and decided just to make the other call so that they don't get the basket. It's very possible. I don't think it's a good call, but he might be thinking that's how he's going to make it even. Let's jump over to 157 here. Uh-oh. Let's get over. So let's see if we can jump. Okay, so this is going to be, okay, so basically, okay. Okay, so they come down, Oklahoma City comes down in transition, and they're only up by 1 here. It's a close game, but already you can just kind of tell they're out of sorts at the end of the first quarter. And here you're going to see a drive. Now, Boris Diaw is guarding Derek Fisher in the corner. Now, we've talked all about not helping one pass away, and I just got to show you why, especially because we'll have a replay of it. Now, here comes Kevin Durant, a beautiful crossover on Manu, and Manu's now left behind. But because this is all early offense, Baines doesn't have to worry about his man, who's way back, not even in the picture yet. So Baines is there, but Diaw is going to come over and help anyway on KD because I guess they're so concerned about KD, but it's not disciplined defense. He should stay home. He doesn't. He comes all the way over, easy pass, and that's an easy 3 for Fisher. Easy, easy, easy. And, you know, Popovich is going to be really upset about that. Oh, and then Fisher gets cut. He must have gotten scratched or something on that. I missed. I don't know if I ever. Okay, so let's see if we can, on the replay here, see what happened here after the blood. Okay, so here's a great angle we can use here to show why you don't help one pass away. Here is Durant, who's going to be cutting to the driving to the hoop. Now, here's Diaw, who's going to help one pass away. You can see why that's an easy pass, right? It's about 15 feet right in his line of sight. But look, Baines is right there. There was never a need for him to come over at all, and that's the problem. Easy pass, and then we see. Still can't figure out where Fisher got it, but then I think he's bleeding by then. Anyway, we can skip. We don't need to see any more blood, do we? All right, let's get to our last play of the first quarter that I cut out here. Which is okay. So this is when Russ kind of really started to lose his mind. So it's now a 1-point game, a dogfight. Neither team was getting great calls. I think OKC was getting the worst end of it by this point. So what are they going to call? They come down here, and again, it takes them 10 seconds before they even really run something. Now it looks like they're going to have Adams come straight up for a screen. No cutting, no screen for the screener first, nothing like that, which I think is usually better. And that lets the defense be in position. So here, Westbrook is going to drag him out wide. He's not going to attack. He brings Bane way too out high. So Bane's is way too far out. But Mondo is a great defender and long arms to some degree, and he's crafty. So Russ jumps in the air, and we talked about that, right? So as a coach, the idea of jumping in the air to make a pass is always a bad idea, and it's an easy turnover. There's no foul there, but Russ is already freaking out about a foul. And at this moment, everybody in the gym knows he's just going to foul. He's so angry, he's just going to wrap and smack him, right? He grabs with the left hand and wraps him around and knocks him over. And then he's already jawing. He said something really terrible, keeps talking, and Scott Foster doesn't even have to think about it, and he gives him the tee. So they went from not getting a point on a bad turnover to a foul, and now to a technical foul. And these are the things that normally lose you games. It gives San Antonio the lead, and they can get control. But Russ was kind of lucky in this one that, Ibaka came back and gave them that boost, but then the Spurs were just playing off. So that's we said a lot about Russ, and I don't even want to get into it as far as I know everyone gets upset at me when I criticize him and thinking that I want to diminish his skills. He's got good skills. He is an amazing athlete, but I've been saying this for several years now, and I don't see championship potential with that kind of play. And that kind of play happens every game. And it might not be a technical foul every game, but it's those those bad fouls. And then you saw him. This got him unglued for a while, and in that second quarter, and then even part of the third, he was just taking terrible shots and shooting them and missing and really causing problems for OKC in a long stretch of time. It is not championship material, and if they ever were to win it with him starting and him playing that way, then everybody can come out and rub it in my face if they want to. But I'm just telling you right now, it's just not what you can. It's not championship play. That's all I can tell you. And I know that OKC wants to be judged by that. And so I've said it all along, whenever they point to his stats or OKC's overall offensive rating, and then to try and argue that Russell Westbrook is, a benefit to them, there's a lot of noise in that offensive rating because they're playing against some really bad defenses. And we've already done a breakdown earlier this year, and if you haven't seen that, where we showed how these guys do against the better defenses compared to the worst defenses. And Westbrook doesn't come out as well. Durant does. He actually raises his level of play against the good defenses, but Russell Westbrook didn't as much. It was a little bit skewed this year because he was missing so many games. But we showed that last year. We showed that as well, where he took advantage a lot more against bad defenses, as did the whole team. So let's go to some questions, shall we? Let's go to our Twitter and our Twitter feed and see what questions we've got going here. Let me bring that window up. Can we read this? It looks like it's big enough. All right, let's get down to where we left off here. Okay, here we go. So, can I take this game seriously when OKC took 22 free throws in the third quarter and the Spurs took 0? Jared, great question, and that was certainly a big issue, obviously, but I think a lot of it had to do with how off the Spurs were. I got to look at their breakdown as far as how many turnovers they had, but without question, they turned the ball over a bit in that third quarter, and that was a problem. And then they also they just were off. They just weren't attacking the basket in a way that would get them those free throws. So, it was a mix. There were some calls maybe they didn't get, but I would say it was a lot more about the Spurs, turning it over. Now, I'm going to really quickly, I can filter now by quarter because the NBA stats box scores are up. So let me filter this. And in that third quarter, the Spurs turned the ball over. Oh, interesting. Only 3 times and shot 40%. So I was off. I thought they turned the ball over more. So we'll have to go look at that and really take a good look. But I didn't feel like it was a complete problem on that end. Let's move on to Josh's. What did OKC do best to disrupt the Spurs' rhythm throughout the game? It's a great question. I'm going to have to look at it even more closely because I don't know how clear it was. To me, they were off from the beginning, and it was almost like what did OKC do? Now, Ibaka has a lot to do with that. It gave them a boost emotionally. They had a lot more energy out there, but there were some fumbling and some turnovers that had nothing to do with the defense that the Spurs committed. But Ibaka is big, and that's a big thing. When you're in a good frame of mind and you feel like you had a rim protector back there, a lot of things do change. And I can't say enough about how impressed I was with Ibaka and how he came back and was able to do that. Really gritty performance. I mean, that's up there with the flu game by Michael Jordan and Willis Reed. So I think I mentioned, if you heard earlier, what I thought Ibaka's situation was. So let's move on to let's see, Coach, the NBA Latin, I believe it is, something like that. Coach, what do you think of KD's defense and guys like Kawhi, Green, or even Diaw? It was okay. There were times when it was good on the ball, and he's okay. I think he's not. What's holding him back from being as good as the guys like even Michael Jordan and even like Kobe in his prime when he really played defenses is the defense. He is okay, and there are times when he plays somewhat well, but he's not a force on defense. And I don't know if he ever will be, because he just doesn't seem like he's got that mindset. And it's too bad, because he could definitely take 10% off of his mindset on offense and play to the defense and then become that player. What does Pop tell his guys to encourage, prepare them for Game 4? I think Pop probably just says, let's toss this out. Let's get some rest. Let's get back on the practice court and try and regain a rhythm there. I don't think there's much to do besides just sort of shrug and throw up your hands and say, for some reason, the basketball gods weren't shining on us. And that was it, because again, it won't happen again. They won't have those kind of turnovers, and they won't miss some of those open shots like they did. Let's see here. Spurs' average field goal distance with Ibaka on the court was 13 feet, and off the court was 8. That is certainly very big. I want to know where that is. I like that stat, but I haven't seen that before. So perhaps Sirocco replied to me when I asked him earlier where he found that, because I definitely want to know where that is. That's a great stat. And does it validate the Harden trade? I mean, even if they kept Harden, they had their hands full juggling that lineup and getting them to take good shots as it is. So that's hard to know. Do I think that OKC has a chance to win this series now? Yeah. I mean, now that they're down 3-0, they have no chance. Down 2-1, they have a chance. Absolutely. They have a better chance, at least. What do I think that OKC's best lineup against the Spurs this series? I got to look at the lineups. I don't think we saw – oh, wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. Carlson didn't play at all, did he? I feel like I didn't see him at all. Let me go check the box score really quickly, because I don't even think I saw that on Twitter. Nick Collison, where are you? Did I miss something? Why is he not in the box score? He didn't play at all. That's why he's not in the box score. Wow, that is unbelievable. The best lineup, I think, is what they had starting, without question. And that, by the way, that's the other big thing that they did, was by putting Reggie in there. It does balance some of the things that Russ did. I actually didn't. I got to look at it some more, but certainly having Ibaka in there, Perkins being in the lineup is not their best lineup, no matter what it is, and that's the thing they got to change more. Yeah, I would be surprised if Thabo got in the game again. I swear to God, I'd be surprised. He didn't get in the game at all today, and I don't think he's going to get back in for a long time. Do I think the Spurs would be this good for this long without Greg Popovich? No, I think Popovich is a really big part of that. Tim Duncan is also part of it as well. It's probably 50-50, but Popovich really helps them. What happens when Popovich leaves the Spurs? Well, they're going to change, and it'll be hard. Maybe they find a guy who was one of his assistants to try and maintain everything. But if Duncan and Popovich go, that's going to be a completely different team, and probably not as good. I just don't know if they can maintain that for that much longer. Is there any Vivek asks, is there any serious concern for the Spurs after this game other than off games from Parker and others? No, I don't think, as of now, they're up 2-1. They were going to get a game like that from the Thunder. Although the Thunder didn't even shoot that well. It wasn't like they played that great. They shot 46% from the field. But they were bound to have a really high energy game. So I don't think that there's much to take on the Spurs end, at least to get too upset about unless it happens again. Brooks finally listened and ran new plays. They ran the loop for Russ. Yeah. Oh, you saw another one of the loop? Oh, I missed that. and then some horns. Yeah, they did get into some more concrete offensive sets to get them good shots for sure. My take on Collison not playing is it's just mind-boggling to me. I think he's an important part of what they do. I think he gives them great minutes when he's in there. I really can't figure that out. That's crazy. I suppose they got on a run. He didn't want to like touch the lineups, but still. How many minutes did Ibaka end up playing? It's almost 30 minutes. That's crazy. Which had more impact, Ibaka being back or Reggie starting? That's a great question too, Alex. I think Ibaka, Ibaka with what he did with the blocks and shooting so well, I think had more of an impact on the emotional thing. Yeah, but it was nice that Reggie was in there. What do I think about these Tom Thibodeau rumors about leaving? I don't know if I really heard much of the rumor about that. I don't think he leaves. Still confident in your Spurs pick after Serge's. I still feel like the Spurs are in the driver's seat right now, so I wouldn't be that concerned about it yet. But certainly. We'll see. We'll see if they can get that same kind of lift from him in the next game. Yeah, I don't think Diaw is a three-point guy. He's got to be making plays and facilitating more. Let's see. Crispy asks, does Ibaka really have a big impact? Absolutely. He had the biggest impact of them all today. Justin Chang, is this going to be 2012 all over again? I don't think so. I think the Spurs are a lot different than they were then. And by the way, the Thunder are also a lot different, so I don't think that's going to be. I don't think it's going to play out the same way. It won't play out the same way. But will the Thunder win 4 straight? I would guarantee that won't happen. And if it did, I'll do something. Maybe I don't know what I'll do, but that'll be. I will be completely shocked if that happens. And then Rodney thinks I stink. Well, how can you tell? You can't smell through the web, can you? Unless that's a new version of the internet I haven't heard about. So, great stuff. Let's keep going here. I was almost thinking we can go one by one through. Let's get some more video. What do you say? I got about 8 more clips to go through for their whole game, and we'll go through those. Let me just tweet this out and tell everybody to get more people in here, shall we? More live video analysis. All right, let's do it. Let's fire up our screen share and get back to the game. And see other things I noted down. Okay, so let's see here. In the third, only a couple of clips. Let's see, 5:58 in the third is. I'm still stuck in that darn. Cannot see where we are here. All right, so in a second, let's get through halftime. All righty, let's see. Where are we? 5:58. We need to get to. I like ESPN better because they have their clock higher or lower, so I can see the score while I scroll. I see the time. All right, so here we go. 5:58 is. So we have. Oh, okay. So the Spurs come down, and let's see here. They are down. Let me move my mouse here. They are down by 8. Okay, and they're struggling here, and they're trying to get something going. So they run. A quick action screen and roll, nothing going on. So they're going to post up Boris Diaw with Reggie Jackson. It's the Spurs are probably the best team in the league for exploiting matchups when they notice them right away. How many times do you see a team with even the Thunder did it where they had somebody small on Kevin Durant and they didn't notice it. He didn't go down and post him up or anything. But the Spurs will instantly break into that. So they're going to post him up. So Steven Adams is over here on the weak side. You see him? And he's thinking, okay, I better come over and double because Reggie can't handle Diaw down low. But watch over here. Now, we saw how often the Spurs are able to get the skip pass in the corner 3. So I don't mind that Durant is really on top of this and he's got to be very aware. But, traditionally he needs to see both man and ball. That's the hardest spot to do it in, but at least he's got to swivel his neck more. So what happens is here's the thing, actually. A split second ago, he was still looking over here at the ball. He still should have seen that Adams is coming over to double. And that means he's got to stay here on Tim Duncan and sink and fill. But he turns his head right when it happens, has no idea that Adams has gone over there. Adams didn't yell it out either. He needs to call it. And as a result, he goes away and gives the layup up to Tim Duncan. So that was not good defense at all. An example of Durant. And also Adams not calling it out and communicating. And that's what you need to have at the championship level. You can't give up layups like that. But they had a cushion so they can survive these things. That was always the thing. They had enough of a lead where they survived any of those bad plays until eventually Spurs just couldn't get it done. Let's get over to here's an example of the Spurs just being off. Now, first, let's go through this play just because it's, we'll see. So, clinging to a 4-point lead. This is still a game here, even though I recognize the Spurs were so out of it, it was so much energy just to get a normal shot. They couldn't get this thing, the ship righted. So here they're going to take their time, spread the floor, and they're going to, there's a very simple pick and roll. Again, the Spurs would have screened for Adams before the pick and roll. They would have screened for Adams here, but they don't. So Adams just comes up and screens, and they contain. That's not bad. And then, I like that. I like the contest by Ibaka, by Splitter. But Russ under control, nice hop off the dribble, beautiful shot, boom. So now the Spurs come right back down, and they're going to run. This is one of those plays I was almost going to start clapping. A little sideline screen and roll. And here's the problem the Spurs have is when they hedge on that sideline, when the screen is going down toward the baseline, their big man keeps coming up too high. He doesn't have to be on the three-point line. He should be at least a step below that so that when it does go to the pocket pass, he can turn and run and contain Splitter and not force a complete rotation. But instead, he's not there. They have a complete rotation over here, and now they have a 3-on-2 on this side. Here's good passing to keep them open. Okay, now the extra pass actually allows OKC to kind of get back on their men. Good shot fake and a give and go by Diaw. And by the way, good rotation by Adams to come over to try and stop it. Durant should have slid down here to guard Splitter. Somebody said that was deflected. I don't see that deflected at all. I see that just as Splitter dropping the ball. Let's see if we can see that in real time. Yeah, no, I think that's that looks like to me like Splitter just dropping it. Splitter's got terrible hands, but more importantly, Diaw should be throwing a pass for a layup as a bounce pass. It's the easiest pass to catch for big men like that on a good bounce pass. So this should be right back to Splitter on a bounce pass. He can catch it, but instead it goes to Patty Mills, right? Oh, no, that wasn't the Patty Mills. Sorry, I thought this was Patty Mills. So they blew the layup. Really frustrating because those are the plays that could have gotten them back in the game and cut it to 4. But instead, they come down. What happens? Durant gets 2 free throws. So these are the things they kept shooting themselves in the foot with. And then we go to the fourth quarter. This is the Patty Mills 3-point shot, make, foul fiasco, if you ask me. Okay. So the Spurs come down, get into their early offense. So their basic motion tends to be post-up splitter here and a double screen across the on the weak side for the guy out of the corner. So they call a weird foul there. That was very strange. And then let's move forward a little bit. Okay. So out of bounds, they run a double ball screen with the 2 big men here, which is nice. Now Patty Mills turns it down, thinking he sees an opening, but they cover that up nicely. But again, there's still more flow. The ball starts to move. Okay, great. So here, because they run a double ball screen, this generally gets a switch by OKC and a mismatch. And so what you're going to see here is because Patty Mills does go this way, and it gets a rescreen, it forces the switch. So now watch KD is now guarding Patty Mills. This is important. Don't watch the strong side. Watch the weak side here. So Patty Mills is now being guarded. Now watch Kevin Durant completely turn his head again. This is more poor weak side defense by Durant. And he's just watching the ball. Never sees Mills cut here. Wide open. Another one of those. This is the play they said it was deflected. It didn't hit Splitter's hands. Forgive me. Let's see here. So this is a nice drive by Diaw, a nice little spin move. Okay, maybe Adams got the hand on the ball, but it worked out really well because Durant was sleeping so much on this Mills 3. He kicks his leg out a little bit. I know the letter of the law is that you can't kick your leg out for contact. I just have a real hard time sort of seeing that as being worthy of the call. Is this it right here? Let's see here. So here it is again. Let's see if we can see a better angle. You know, I have a hard time feeling that call. It just seems like a terrible call, and everyone complained about it because it would have made it a 6-point game. Instead, they come down. I think they even score, right? Yeah, they come out and score, and now it's an 11-point game. You know, it's a huge swing, 5-point swing. And then later on, even more example of they come down and Boris Diaw takes a horrible long two with his foot in the line quickly, and then they come down. This is another example of they don't pick up their men. So here is, look, 1, 2, 3. There's 4 guys in the backcourt for OKC. 3 guys are in the front court, so they should be in perfect position to play defense here. Yeah, if you watch Caron Butler, nobody picks him up. Patty Mills is okay. I have Reggie Jackson. But here's one of the problems: is that both Green and Bellinelli go toward the ball. Let's go back and watch that again. So they don't talk on transition. So Bellinelli goes to pick up Durant. Green goes up to pick up Durant, which is probably more of his man, and that's really where it breaks down to begin with. Now, that became Splitter not knowing who was guarding. So it actually is Splitter having the biggest problem. He was so clueless that he didn't know it was Butler's man. I'd be willing to bet that Butler might have just checked in and he didn't know. We gotta look at that and see. But you can't have that. You can't let Butler have a wide open corner 3 and have him being open and not picking up your men. That's just another sign of really uncharacteristically bad play by the Spurs. So it was a breakdown from a lot of different standpoints. Hard to imagine that happening, but there you go. There's some examples of the Spurs just not playing like a team. It won't happen again in Game 4. I guarantee you that. They might not win the game in Game 4, but they won't play this way. I don't think it's possible to see 2 games back-to-back after seeing the work the Spurs normally do. I don't think it's possible they make those kind of mistakes again. So we'll see. Let's go back to let's go to some YouTube questions, shall we? Let's see what we got there. And let's bring up that window. I think you can read this here. Where are my all comments? Here we go. So let's go back to the bottom here. Wow. Okay. How is Patty Mills shot a foul? Well, we just went over there. It really wasn't, but there is the law. There is the rule. It says you can't kick your foot out. But we'll have to get Ronnie Nunn on that one and discuss that one. Let's see here. Do you think some of the defensive adjustments that Miami made last night will help them in a possible matchup against the Spurs? Yeah, absolutely. Keeping the offense guessing of when you're going to blitz the ball is a lot better than blitzing the ball every single time. I like that adjustment for sure. What changed with Serge Ibaka in the lineup? Well, certainly he got some blocked shots. He made them miss. He made them bobble the ball. He gave them on the other side. He made his first 5 shots. So he really changed the whole complexion of the game, and it was really incredible how he did that. So we just talked about that again. Total was that for the rest of the season? Okay, cool. Before garbage time, OKC had 33 free throws and the Spurs had 7. 21-0 difference in the third quarter. So yeah, we did talk about that already. But again, we'll have to go through it and see. But it did feel like it was more of the Spurs being just out of sorts and not on the same page, 5 men together, than it was not getting some calls. So a couple, I know Manu went to the hole and got hit, and they didn't call it on one of them. But it didn't seem like it was, there was 12 free throws on the table they left. Patty Mills' horrible call. It would have been, yeah, we just talked about that. So yes, absolutely for sure. Is 2012 happening again? No, we already talked about that. People complain about the refs giving the Thunder just by looking at the free throw stats, but according to the commentator, the calls were even just that the Spurs had more shooting fouls. Or, I think even the Thunder had more shooting fouls. Yeah, it's possible. We'll see. I'll have to look at it play by play. How did the Oklahoma defense get more turnovers to Spurs, and how did Russell Westbrook get hot? Well, Russell finally settled down and was playing under control. It's that out-of-control Russ that lasts for a long time that really kills them. And I think in that sense, the Thunder were lucky that they caught the Spurs on a game where they just didn't have it. They just were out of it for whatever reason. Again, I keep saying that, but it's hard to explain. It just happens. That's why I don't think Popovich is going to go too crazy on this. But without question, Serge was the difference. Can the Spurs win with Ibaka on the floor? They can, and they can. They got to get themselves back on the same page, get into a practice. Yeah, the Spurs didn't pass as much. In fact, for the game, I'm not even sure that they didn't turn the ball over that much. For the game, the Spurs, they did 16 turnovers, which is not uncharacteristic. But the funny thing is that the Thunder turned the ball over more. So it's crazy. It's crazy that they blew him out without the Collison playing at all. Kawhi was up and down. He's still learning. He's still struggling to figure out how to be aggressive and not and not hurt them. And he hurt them with some bad shots, and then he couldn't knock some stuff down. Let's see. Oh, there. Moss, thank you, Facial Dunk. Did he capture this with the DVR or NBA TV? I captured it with my DVR, if that's what you're asking. It's 2014. Oh, did I write 2013? Oh well. I was in a hurry. But thanks for letting me know. Let's get that off of the screen. Yeah, we knew, and we definitely knew the Thunder were going to come out and grab a game. It wasn't going to be a sweep. I think that was pretty clear. And that this might have been the game, and we'll see. Game 4 obviously is going to be the game. Probably. It will be. It will. I don't even know if we'll decide the series. Obviously, if the Spurs win and go up 3-1, then it's over. And so that's going to be pivotal. The Thunder cannot afford to lose it. Pop just said Ginobili out for the rest of the playoffs. I think that's a joke. Yeah, I know. Reggie Jackson, Reggie Miller. What am I going to do? It's not easy getting all these names straight. How dependent are the Spurs on Danny Green's three-point shot? They're not that dependent. I think that he could miss a bunch and they still win, but it's more about like someone like Parker having a bad game like he did. I think Brooks is safe either way, believe it or not. Defining moment in the game for you, I think, is what I showed you when well, first of all, it could have been the three-point shot where Patty Mills got it waved off, but it was also before that when they go to the basket and they missed out on that layup that Diaw tried to pass to Splitter. That was just so apropos of how off the Spurs were all game. Was there more bad or more good Russ in this game? I think there was more bad for sure. I think his good was in very specific, isolated spots. Yeah, the Spurs, the Spurs were just trying to come back, trying something to get them going. It's what happens. I see that all the time with teams that like to pass, and then as they get down and they're just trying to get back into it, they're just going to shoot some shots to get back into it. Happens all the time. I like Lamb, and the fact that Lamb wasn't playing more earlier, I thought was a real problem. They need him. They need some minutes from him off the bench to give them some positive stuff. So, all right, there you go there. So that's all of our questions on the YouTube page. Good stuff. So, anyhow, I think that covers a lot of stuff. We went through a lot of the video breakdown. We got a lot of good questions from both Twitter and YouTube. So stay tuned. We're going to get to a breakdown tonight. So we'll get that up right away. And also don't miss our breakdown from yesterday's game, which we're posting at least one breakdown a game, if not two. So usually we do one tonight, and we'll do another quickie in the morning on the Spurs Thunder from Game 3. We'll do that tomorrow in the midday area. So don't miss that on that stuff. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at BeatBallSource and subscribe here on our channel for lots of great content. We're going to push through this all the way to the finals. So we are so far from being over with the playoffs. We got at least a month left of this, so just keep in the conversation, keep asking us the stuff. Great stuff happening, and don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?